YouTube, what the crap's going on? So either get ready to see some grudges paid back or some new grudges written. This is going to be myself playing against Harambe 2.0. I've got a cheap line up front, just very cheap line. It's just Eternal Guard with Spears. I've got a Glady and a Spellsinger Lore of Life out here. And then I've got 5 Way Watchers, 3 on one flank, 2 on this one, and I've got a Wild Rider on either flank. The Dwarf player has a front line of Warriors and then the Grumbling Guard in the back. So the Warriors are not going to be great, but they have good armor and shields. He's got 3 Slayers because he's clearly concerned about protecting his artillery, which he's hoping will be his advantage if I've brought standard archers. I don't have standard archers, I have Way Watchers. These Way Watchers have 190 range. I've turned them off fire at will and left them on skirmish because Way Watchers do tremendous damage, but you can waste their ammunition very quickly and on the wrong targets. So to be successful with Way Watchers, you have to choose your targets and you have to keep them safe. The Wild Riders can cause tremendous damage to Slayers on the charge, and so that's why I'm protecting them with Wild Riders, because Slayers are really the only threat to my Way Watchers because I can outrange most everything else. And just look at the combination here, Organ Gun and Grudge Thrower, just the damage. How quickly, one Eternal Guard's already half dead. Fortunately for me, it's just an Eternal Guard. Look at that, 23 kills. Organ Gun is actually taking shots at my Lord, so I'm kind of pulling my Lord back to try and stay away from that. Well, I move Way Watchers into position. These Way Watchers are going to move to the edge of the forest, and this Organ Gun is in a very vulnerable position. My guys can fire from the cover of the woods, and they can outrange. He doesn't have any foot skirmishers to challenge my Way Watchers, and I'm going to try and make him pay for that. Way Watchers are really good at destroying artillery pieces too, for whatever reason. It must be their armor piercing or something about the way it works, but my Way Watchers are going to pretty quickly put an end to his Organ Gun. And he turns to fire on my Way Watchers here. I guess he needs to. He needs to kill him. I expected pressure from his Slayers, but it never came. You can see at this point his Organ Gun is taking damage very quickly. It's dealing a little in return, but the trees give me a little bit of cover, and the long range here keeps my Way Watchers relatively safe. So his Organ Gun's gone, so that's one artillery piece down, and I did have to use several more volleys than I would have liked. He's also now going to turn his Grudge Thrower attention over here. It's a good call, but here I'm doing some charges with my Wild Riders just to keep him busy, keep him thinking about something. And again, I'm going to keep moving up the Way Watchers. I don't intend to attack my opponent. I intend to force him at me, and then I hope to pepper him with Way Watchers along the way. I'm going to pull back for just a minute, let the woods give me a little more cover. And now I'm going to fire on his Grudge Thrower from behind. So I'm using the forward or Vanguard deploy and long range, stealth, trying to use all those things to my advantage against the dwarves here. So this Grudge Thrower crew is going to get hit from behind. Not an ideal target for me, really. I'd rather kill this thing with Wild Riders. But, you know, getting rid of the artillery will give my Way Watchers what they need. And at this point, my opponent does feel the pressure, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to go after his infantry, and maybe I can ride out the storm of Way Watchers here. So on both flanks, I'm going to let my Way Watchers get in position to start unloading on his infantry. This is into the shielded flank, so it won't be ideal, but we're going to certainly cause a lot of damage to the Dwarf Warriors here. So my goal is to tear up his infantry bad enough that they struggle to win an infantry fight decisively. If he wins an infantry fight decisively, I won't be able to kill his lords. He's got a Runesmith, Grombrindle, and a Thane, and he's got the Tormentor Sword as well. So I can't leave him in a position to very decisively win an infantry fight. He can win it, but he can't come away with enough support units. So again, Dwarf Warrior's dead. I'm now going to target the Grumbling Guard because they're the next biggest threat, so these guys are going to eat some fire. You can see that the dwarves on the flank took a pretty good beating. So already coming into this fight, my opponent's taken a lot of losses. Eternal Guard have a small armor piercing ability too, which is quite nice. And of course, I couldn't afford the Eternal Guard with shields, which is unfortunate for me because my guys would have lasted longer in combat. And my Glady can now get in and do some skirmishing because we have the artillery threat taken care of. So you can see we did a lot of damage to the Dwarven infantry line. How quickly Way Watchers can lay waste to armored infantry. Doesn't take long. So again, though, my opponent knows he has to go for a crushing blow, and he's got to do it quickly. I'm going to take my Glady off of fire at will. I'm going to target Grombrindle. Grombrindle is going to be a huge threat. I'm going to go ahead and attack his infantry line with my spears. I've pulled him far enough forward where I feel okay about just going ahead and letting him have a fight, and especially if we can create some blobs for my Way Watchers to fire into the back of. So I'm going to move my Way Watchers up closer after this Prey of Anathema. So I target him, Grombrindle, with my Way Watchers. This could be questionable. because, you know, these volleys could be used very nicely into the back of this infantry fight, but at the same time, Grombrindle is very tough, and we had to cause some significant damage to him at some point or another. I'm less concerned about the Thane and the Runesmith. Grombrindle is a beast. And as you can see, the infantry fight's going to drag on and help me out. And it gets his guys all blobbed up here. He does do a nice outflanking right here. I am going to use my Spell Singer at some point, and I'm going to do a rear charge over here just to cause some damage to these miners, because they're vulnerable to that type of unit. And now that his dwarves all have their backs turned to me, my Way Watchers are going to start raining in some terribly painful volleys. And it's from behind, like directly behind, so there's no shields. Armor penetrating. Slayers are getting wrecked. Infantry's getting wrecked. So this is a perfect blob for me here, because my Way Watchers can spend a lot of their ammo on a very high value target. And I'm going to end up getting a tremendous number of kills and damage from this. These Way Watchers needed to get into position. You can see my Spearmen do lose the fight pretty convincingly, but these guys over here hold out very nicely, which means he's got another blob he's got to focus on. And again, the damage done at this point is extremely significant. So you can see that most of his infantry have taken heavy damage already at this point. If we can tear away the support, even though his heroes and his lord will be very tough, we should be able to manage them. But if we can't tear away the support, we're not going to have a prayer of beating down Grombrindle, a Runesmith, and a Thane. He does have Tormentor Sword, like I said, so I'm being very careful about bringing my lord or my spellcaster around to just ensure that I don't get caught in a situation that favors him. And the Way Watchers are just going to keep doing their work until their ammo is spent, and some of them are getting pretty close. Again, this is why you have to control their ammo. I did okay here. I did okay. It wasn't perfect. Another Prey of Anathema, and I'm going to try and do some skirmishing on Grombrindle, again, trying to just pull him down. But my Way Watchers continue to target infantry. Slayers, whatever infantry we can target. And at this point, his infantry is in bad shape. Very bad shape. It's near defeated. And then whatever spear units come back from routing, I'm just going to regroup them. And then we'll hold my Way Watchers in reserve to get into melee. These guys are decent in melee. They have no armor, which is pretty bad. But their attack and damage stats they're decent. They're not great. It'll work. I wish that their melee stats were a little better, considering they cost 1100, but we'll take what we can get. So again, look at his infantry. It's been decimated. I still have some Arrows of Kurnos, and Prey of Anathema comes around. I've got ammo left with my Glady. She's done some good skirmishing. Grombrindle, though, still has almost 2,000 hit points. And it's here where I intend to swing around the back of my opponent here. And I wanted to fix him from the front and then rear charge, but then I realized that my Wild Riders get an attack order that's too far away, and his Slayers are gaining on me. So I'm going to turn this one damaged spear unit around to see if I can delay. I want to peel these guys back and get in a better position to get some cycle charges on his infantry with my Wild Riders, because I'm pretty much out of ammo, or I am out of ammo, except for my my Glady. And she's going to continue to try and shoot Grombrindle. So yeah, there's where I turn around. Of course, these guys aren't even going to hold the Slayers. They're just going to near instantly die. Slayers are going to slay. And I realize, like, dang, man, I can't really run away from him good here because the Slayers are leading. So I'm going to go ahead and just pile in and see if we can rout his infantry. So I'm going to turn these Spearmen around and go ahead and take the fight, pile the Archers in. I'd rather him charge the Spearmen than the Archers. The Spearmen will last a little longer versus the Slayer than the Archers will. And then again, we'll bring the Wild Riders in, and we should be able to mop up a lot of his infantry. His infantry won't be good at killing Wild Riders. But there's Slayers there. Yeah, on the charge, the Slayers are going to get killed just as well as everything else. So I do bring in a heal. I'm going to heal all my units so that the Dwarves are going to have a harder time killing units. And then the rear charge is pretty devastating. Almost all the Dwarf infantry is going to go bye-bye near instantly because the Wild Riders. So at this point, we've peeled away all the support units, and now we just have to dwindle down his heroes. I tried to bring the Glade Lord and the Spell Singer in here to get some hits on Grombrindle, but we're not really getting to him. There's dwarves in between, and so I'm not getting any hits on Grombrindle, which is pretty frustrating. But everything but a few Slayers has routed, so Grombrindle's protection is dwindling. But I mean, if he gets in a fight for very long with either my Lord or my hero, I mean, I'm gonna be in some serious crap. because Grombrindle is way, way stronger than they are. Not even close. I got one Wild Rider free. The Tormentor Sword just went off, so all my guys are stuck for a moment. But my Wild Riders can ensure that he doesn't get a second rally here. And Wild Riders, they're not armor piercing, but they do a tremendous amount of weapon damage. So they're a unit that has really high attack, really good damage. They're pretty squishy, but you get them into the right scenario and they cause damage very quickly. And that's that rear charge. You saw how quickly it just knocked out all the Dwarf infantry. So look at me in here just trying to pick away at Grombrindle, but it is just doing so very little. 120 armor. Grombrindle is just, he's a tank, man. Guy's hard to kill. Earthblood is keeping my units alive for longer again and just kind of giving the dwarves fits. And I think, you know, to myself, well, we can just blob in and get them. But we're still struggling. And I'm kind of worried. Like, I don't want to get too many units killed here. I have to be careful with my Lord, the Spellsinger, but they're not dying quickly either. And I'm trying to use them to pick away at Grombrindle. No pun intended. If Grombrindle I don't think he carries a pick. I think he carries an axe. Pick away, get it? Oh man. My jokes are so lame. But nah, we should be successful here. It's kind of my battle to lose at this point. Rune of Negation. Yeah, I think Grombrindle's just going to be an absolute tank. So if you look, I decide to pull out, get all the archers back, Prey of Enethrema. I have a few volleys left with my Lady. I do an Arrows of Kurnos here, and instead of firing it, she runs forwards. This is another bug that I just don't understand. It happens to me a lot when I try to use Arrows of Kurnos. There was this Grumbling Guard that was kind of pestering me, so even with the Prey of Enethrema on, I really only ended up getting one shot because Glady wouldn't use the special ability. Spellsinger gets a cool charge there. He finishes off the Grumbling Guard. Even at point blank, Grombrindle's taken very little damage from the Glady. I'm trying to be patient and use the rest of her ammo here. I'm not trying to just run away from my opponent. I'm specifically trying to use up the rest of my ammo on the Glady. So I know it could be frustrating if you're the dwarf player here, because it's like, he won't even engage me. Yeah, I mean, I've got to use my ammo. So yeah, Grombrindle will take a little more damage here. He's down under 1,000, but again, he's tough. And with the Runesmith supporting, it's helping all these guys too, so we need to kill one of them. May have been smarter to try and get the Runesmith or something first, but I really think that I just want Grombrindle dead. Uses the Rune of Wrath and Ruin on the Glade Lord. It's not going to do much. He should have definitely used it on the Wild Riders. Wild Riders are his bigger problem right now. At this point, Grombrindle takes a nasty charge. He's down to 500. And I'm going to try and use an Arrows of Kurnos again in a moment. But I'm also waiting on Prey of Enethrema, which is almost ready to go again. So he's going to come at me. I was worried that he had recharged his Tormentor Sword. I don't know if that's a one-use ability. I can't remember. So I was trying to stay away from him. If he used the Tormentor Sword and killed my Glady, it would be a massive, massive blunder on my part. So here we go. Arrows of Kurnos. Grombrindle takes a nasty hit. It routs him. And then I'm going to hit the Runesmith with Prey of Enethrema. Just trying to slow these guys down. I'll use my Spellsinger to chase out Grombrindle and finish him off. So Grombrindle that's a grudge in there, killing Grombrindle with the Spellsinger. But that's what's going to happen. So the Spellsinger can easily make sure that Grombrindle doesn't come back because she's faster. Eventually she'll kill him, which means we just have to deal with a Thane and a Runesmith, which cannot possibly defeat all these Wild Riders, even if I just stand still and fight, which I will. I mean, there's definitely no need to cycle charge repeatedly. So yeah, his dwarf is in here getting beat up pretty bad. Runesmith does use some of his abilities here, which is smart. It's going to hurt my Wild Riders, but it's not enough. Grombrindle drops, and now it's just a simple matter of getting a leadership route on his last two heroes, which will happen. So my army worked out in this case. My biggest threat would have been had he brought a bunch of Quarrelers. If he would have brought a bunch of Quarrelers, I would have been in trouble. And honestly, Quarrelers are usually a pretty solid pick versus the Wood Elves. Your biggest trouble is going to be protecting them from Wild Riders. Wild Riders can do tremendous damage to Slayers on the charge, and I mean tremendous damage, because Slayers don't have a lot of armor, and that's exactly what Wild Riders excel against. Now, of course, Slayers can do a lot of damage to Wild Riders in return. like I said, it's difficult. And if I just go show you something real quick, so like for instance, let's cut some of this stuff out. AI is the attacker. Let's give them dwarves, and let's just throw a lord out there for a minute. Kill everything, lord, and let's just give them a unit. Not the dragonback slayers. Let's just give you an example. Unit of slayers, Glady. I'm not going to actually do any skirmishing with her, but let's get a unit of wild riders like I just had. Just want to show you all like, the damage that can be done on the charge. Again, you're going to take some damage, but the slayers usually take the worst of it, especially if you have any kind of unit to keep the slayers' attention after the charge. But here, let me just demonstrate. Let's fast forward here. So if the slayers don't brace, you'll do a lot of damage. The AI will probably try and brace as soon as I click a charge order, so I'm going to try and trick it. Alright, they shouldn't have time to brace here. They're going to try, but I'll still catch them unbraced. So again, look at the damage done. It's even worse when they're in a full-on charge towards you. But I mean, right there I took probably a quarter, maybe a little more off of them, and I'm going to get away pretty clean again. If this is Dragonback Slayers, you have to get a slightly better charge because they're going to basically poison you on the way out. Again, the Slayers will try and brace as soon as I click an attack order, so I'm going to trick the AI into moving. Nah, they shouldn't be able to brace again. So again, the key is charging the Slayers when they're charging you or braced, and look at that. So again, you would think Slayers, like, yeah, they're a hard counter to something like Wild Riders. Are they? Doesn't look that way. Wild Riders have already killed 23 Slayers.
With haste.
Hey, if you want to charge me, I'll take it. See, again, when they charge you, they take even worse damage. So if you can get a dwarf player to charge at you, it's even better. You can see Wild Riders can deal with Slayers. Absolutely. Again, it's a little harder with the Dragonback Slayers, but even they are vulnerable to this kind of charging. Because Wild Riders, again, it's their attack and their weapon strength. Very, very good against Slayers because of their no armor. And then the charge bonus they get. Whereas the Slayers have a hard time getting hits in on the Wild Riders because they're all on the ground. See this? We've basically killed a Slayer unit. It's only gotten 4 kills and we've gotten 38.
Go! Glory to the eternal realms.
Let's get another cycle in. There's only 15 Slayers left and their numbers are dropping. Only 12 now. Again, just the key is don't stay in combat. Look how resistant Dwarf Lords are to that skirmishing. They're pretty resistant to the Glady. It's their shields and armor. And then there's it's magic ammunition, and the dwarves have resistance to magic. Built-in resistance. So yeah, I would say that Wild Riders are definitely going to be one of the menace units you're going to have to face as the dwarves when you play against the Wood Elves. I'm just going to let them finish this fight because now we've done it. So you see there, the Wild Riders mop up an entire Slayer unit without too much trouble. The Dwarf Lord caught me there. But yeah, I just wanted to show you all this. Most of you should be familiar with this, but again, if you're playing as the dwarves, don't think that Slayers necessarily are a hard counter to the Wild Riders. They can certainly kill them fast if you get in a bad position as the Wood Elf player, but the Wild Riders are just as capable of killing your Slayers because it charges. Look how long it's taken to kill this last Slayer. This guy took an oath, and he's serious about it. He's going to be eating a lot of reindeer if he lives. But there goes his head. Oh, look at, did he get a last shot in when he went down? Kind of looked like it. Anyway, there you go. So, Wild Riders. Interesting unit. I like them. To me, the Wild Riders are like one of the... I always like a game that has good light cavalry because I love light cavalry play. It goes all the way back to Empire Total War. Did anybody ever play Empire Total War? Death's Head Hussars and what they call them, like Second Hussars, Death's Head Hussars. I can't remember the names of them, but those were freaking awesome. I love good light cavalry play, and the Wood Elves have it. Very fast, lots of damage, a little bit squishy, but huge charge bonus, big weapon damage. Solid melee attack. Wild Riders deliver. They can deliver some pretty punishing blows, and they get this Frenzy, which is very helpful for them in the Vanguard deployment. 20% physical resistance. Holy crap, I even forgot about that. So, I mean, these guys are really a pretty cool unit. They're very expensive, but a very cool unit. Anyway, what do you all think? Hope you enjoyed the battle. Appreciate MSI sponsoring my channel. Appreciate you all being here. I will see you again soon.